Hello there, Romans here and welcome to my next music review. Today is going to be Dan Reed, Confessions.
Music review. Music review.
Dan Reed is a singer and songwriter of one of my all-time favorite bands called Dan Reed Network. Well, having heard more than 3,000 records in my life, I may say that Dan Reed Network are probably in my top 3 of my most favorite bands, along with Winger and Rush. And Dan Reed Network were just such a unique band. They were combining rock with funk, rap, metal, and even some soul. They were such a unique band, and their first 3 albums were just absolutely fantastic. And I was always kind of wondering, like, why hadn't this band been much bigger back in the day? Why hadn't they really become the biggest band in the world back in the 80s? And I was extremely excited when last year they released a new album after 25 years. And Dan Reed was the singer and the lead songwriter in this band. After the band disbanded in the early 90s, there was only one album that he released, which was Adrenaline Sky, a very good alternative rock, kind of post-grunge kind of record. It was fantastic. And then he was silent for a very long time. It took him 12 years to come back with a solo record that has been his sort of a priority over the last 7 years. And well, when Dan Reed got to his solo records, he released the first solo record back in 2010 called Coming Up for the Air. And along with his second solo album, Signal Fire, those were as a sort of a pop rock with a very catchy songs and really great melodies. I think that his last solo record called Transmissions from 2015, which was a crowd-funded project, and I supported him by buying a record. This was slightly less straightforward album, which required more listenings. I remember a song, Fire in a Pyramid, which was probably my favorite track. The rest required slightly more listenings. And now here's his 4th solo album called Confessions. So, as I said, I'm a huge fan of Dan Reed Network, I'm a huge fan of Dan Reed. So you can see my collection of CDs and LPs. I even met Dan Reed, it was back in 2014, it was in June, and Dan Reed Network had a concert in Prague, so I saw them live. I remember when I got there, I saw the guitar player eating in a restaurant that was a part of that kind of an area where they played, and I was like, oh my god, it's him. So I didn't know whether to go to him or not. And then I met the whole band before the show, so I was kind of a shy, so it took me some encouraging from my mom to actually go to them and talk to them. And they were very cool, they were very, very down-to-earth guys. And that was back in the day when they were in the original lineup, and it was just so cool to hang out with them and talk with them. I even prepared a CD for Dan Reed. I didn't know if I'd get a chance to talk to him, but I prepared a CD where I had all of my demos and tracks and a README file for Dan Reed, and he actually told me he was very excited to hear my music. I remember that after the gig he hugged me, he asked me, I told him that I came all the way from Slovakia, which was like, I don't know, 10 hours by bus, so it was a long way. And it was a very small gig, there were like 50 people there. They just had a great show, and after the gig he hugged me and he asked me, like, was it worth it to come all the way here? I said, sure. And I gave him a CD. He actually never replied to me. All I wanted from him was just to write me his opinion, but there was one thing I wrote in the README file, and I said, if you are too busy with new Dan Reed Network stuff, I'm totally okay with you not writing me back. And he actually told me, it was in June 2014, that they should release new album as Dan Reed Network by the end of the year. And it took them actually 2 years, exactly in June 2016 they released a new album. So I guess they were kind of busy with it. It was a very good album, so I was very happy with it. So Dan Reed, whatever you had time or not, I'm still happy for all the music you're creating. So let's get to his 4th solo album called Confessions, which as of now I've heard, I think, maybe 6 or 7 times, and it was released in September. So the new solo record called Confessions is not that different from all the previous albums that he has released so far. It's a sort of a intelligent, inspirational, spiritual pop rock music. It was interesting when I was listening to the album, my girlfriend said that it kind of sounds like romantic love songs from the end of the 90s and kind of like a soundtrack for a teenager's movies. And even though that musically it may sound like that, lyrically it's kind of a different story, which I'm gonna get to soon. So it's a very, very emotional record. Songwriting is kind of similar as to the transmissions. It's not so straightforward and there are not so catchy melodies upon the first listening as on the first two albums. It requires kind of more listening, and the whole songwriting just feels like it's a very cohesive record where songs are not supposed to stand out on their own, but they are more like a part of a whole album, which is, as the title suggests, quite personal. This album deals with a lot of different themes. Dan Reed is a kind of an artist who would say, have compassion to your enemies, or show compassion to your enemies, which is actually one of the lines from the tracks. He has some social criticism in his records, but they are not made in aggressive style. He's more of a love each other, smile kind of person. This is in the first single called Smile, where he kind of tries to tell you to let go of hate and to simply smile and enjoy your life, because love is the answer. It's kind of a like 60s message, but I really like this about him. Even when I met him, there's just this strong aura around him. When you listen to his music, you kind of can't help but think, this is probably a very good guy. This is probably a very good person and a very good human being. And this was kind of a proof when he had some live feeds on his Facebook. Probably my favorite tracks on the album are The Great Divide, then the song Fragile, where he includes a little bit of like electronic elements. I would probably welcome him doing this more often. And for example, a song which title is like a play on words, Soul Survivor, which kind of reminds me of one of the songs from his first album called Closer. Generally, there isn't that much difference between the tracks. It's as I said, mostly a pop rock music based on acoustic guitars. You've got piano, you've got some keyboards, of course, drum and bass. And you also have some electric guitars. There is a guitar solo now and then, and a lot of delay used, like you've got a lot of reverse delay and sometimes traditional delays. For example, the track Day One has a very soundtrack-ish kind of ending, and also this record has a very soundtrack-like quality, especially with the inclusion of keyboards. One of the things that he really uses a lot regarding his voice is that he uses octaves when he sings, meaning that he records a melody in the lower notes and then he records it in one octave up. Generally, this is a very relaxing record which I can imagine listening to when, for example, you travel somewhere by car at night, or even if you go somewhere and you take a walk. There's it has a very autumn/fall kind of feeling, and you just walk through the woods, or you walk through a park or through the city and you listen to this record, and it's very inspiring and very relaxing kind of album. I must be honest that probably anybody who goes into this record expecting this to be like Dan Reed Network is probably kind of stupid at this point, because this is like the fourth solo album, so you shouldn't really expect any rock music. But if you are into a kind of an intelligent pop rock music, this could really interest you a lot. It's a beautiful record, and I think that musicians like Dan Reed should be more appreciated and more supported. Therefore, I was really thinking about which score to give this album. At first, I wanted to go with 7 points, but as Dan Reed is really a very underrated artist, and especially Dan Reed Network, which is, in my opinion, the most underrated band ever and the best band ever, I'm giving this album 8 points. Check this artist out, definitely. He's great, he's got great songs, his solo records are very good, Dan Reed Network is just perfect. So I just hope that this guy keeps doing new music, and based on some of the photos he posted on Facebook, it looks like Dan Reed Network may come up with a new record, so that is just amazing. I would really love to see them live again, because that was one show I'll never forget. Confessions in Slovak means spovede. So I hope you liked this review. If you did, I hope you liked this review. If you did, what the fuck? I hope you liked it. I hope you liked this review. If you did, don't forget to like, to share, to subscribe. You can follow me on Instagram or on Facebook. The links to both you can find in the comment section below. If you have heard the album already, let me know in the comment section below. How did you like it? If you have never heard of Dan Reed, let me know how did you like Dan Reed Network and Dan Reed. And see you at the next music review or gear review or whatever. So, thanks for watching. Honey. And sometimes, like for example, one of the things
Earthquake!
more supported and more appreciated,
It wasn't me.
that was you. Put it on a silent mode. Should be more appreciated and more.
You can put you on silent mode.
Čo je? Okay, obviously dead bugs are scary.